The rock-solid deck is back once again with Pyramidimon and clothes from the Digimon Liberator webcomic with a all-new powerful level 7 Magneticdramon to help you finish off games faster than ever. The deck has always been really good at OTKing your opponents by trashing its own sources with Pyramidimon to gain security attack +1 and unsuspend, which is not once per turn. And now thanks to the all-new Magneticdramon, you further get to trash your opponent's security and delete your Digimon, allowing you to close out games faster than ever, which is no pun intended. By trashing your own sources, you can de-digivolve your opponent's Digimon and delete things that are 4 costs or less, and most importantly, you want to trash your Digi-Egg card, which is your Tumblemon, to help you gain memory to extend your combo plays even further. And with that, let's go ahead and begin talking about the Digi-Egg cards, which I'm only playing the 4 copies of the EX8 Tumblemon. Like I mentioned earlier, being able to gain that memory is really important to help you get into your combos as consistently as possible to make more plays and digivolve up the line. As a matter of fact, you want to see multiples of them as you tuck them back with Closes effect so you can get even more value. And that is exclusively why I chose to focus on this Digi-Egg card only, where there is a newer one from EX10, which we'll talk about more in the tech choices later on. Now let's begin talking about our rookies, starting with the Tsunarizumon from EX8, which is the main searcher of the deck. You can always effectively get 2 hits because you can grab anything that's rock or mineral, as well as liberator trait, which this deck has a ton of. Itself also has a root trait being a mineral, so that I can also grab it too. Next, I'm also running 4 copies of the Tsunarizumon from BT21. This is the main one that you want to build your stack together with because it lets you reduce your Digivolution cost to climb up into your level 4s or even potentially your level 5s for 1 less memory. And then lastly, I'm running 2 copies of the new Tsunarizumon from EX10. When you play it out, you get to instantly put 2 sources from your trash back underneath it so they can utilize them for later combos too. All of them have the exact same inherent effect. Whenever they're trashed from the sources, you get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon that has 4 costs or less. That's it for level 3s, and now let's talk about level 4s. Starting off, I'm still running the 4 copies of the EX8 Landramon. That is to help us establish our Tamer close on the board, which is absolutely vital to our core strategy. Having her suspend to help us tuck sources back underneath and gain further advantages is exceptionally useful alongside with the new unique emblem option card. Therefore, I want to find as many opportunities as possible to play her out for free with this card. As for the other promo Landramon from the tournament pack, I'm also running 4 copies of this card just because it's so good at helping us consistently search for pieces that we need when we digivolve or at the start of main phase simply by trashing a source. We either get to grab anything that we need within the line to continue climbing up, or we can replace it with another source that we can tuck underneath to utilize it for later as we trash it as well. The other part to why this card is so good is because its inherent effect to help us de-digivolve the opponent's Digimon as we trash the sources. Being one of the best removal tools, we want to rack up as many of them as possible to lower the opponent's level all the way down back to a 3, and then we can use the Tsunarizumons to pop a 4 cost or less to finish it off. And then to round off for the rest of the level 4s, I'm only taking in 1 copy of the new EX10 Landramon. When we play or digivolve into it by trashing one of its sources, we get to give that Digimon extra 3000 DP, blocker, and reboot, which is great for defensive stance. But I generally recommend playing this deck with a offensive strategy instead, so the DP buff is nice for that. Level 5s, let's talk about the all-new Programmon from EX10, which you certainly want to run 4 copies of this particular card. Just like most other newer Liberator level 5s, it has the ability to warp on top of your level 3 by placing the level 4 from your trash underneath it for 3 cost. Other than that, when you play, digivolve, or attack with this card, which is not once per turn, you trash a source from underneath it to give it extra 3000 DP, collision, and piercing that lasts until the end of the opponent's turn. Being able to use this effect multiple times per turn, you can easily turn your Programmon into a 13k beater that can instantly get rid of your opponent's Digimon and deal damage at the same time. The DP buff is also fantastic in helping you set up as you go into your Pyramidimon, making it stronger than ever, safely checking into your opponent's security, ensuring that you win all security battles. Other than that, its inherent effect when it's trashed to sources, just like the promo Landramon, you also get to de-digivolve 1 on your opponent's Digimon. A neat trick is that you can warp this on top of the BT21 Tsunarizumon alongside with the cost reduction to only E-whip for 2, and whenever you trash your Tumblemon sources with its when digivolving or when attacking effect, you also gain a memory back, making it a 1 cost level 5, which is absolutely insane. Other than that, I'm still running 3 copies of the older Programmon from EX8 just because itself already has piercing, collision, and fragment, which the newer Programmon doesn't have, but ultimately I'm playing it for the inherent effect so that I can stack more de-digivolving to get rid of the opponent's Digimon. That's it for level 5s. Now let's talk about level 6s, which I'm only running the 4 copies of the good old EX8 Pyramidimon. The reason why I still want to focus only on this card is just because I want to go for the offensive strategy to OTK the opponents, and with its effect that is when digivolving and when attacking that's not once per turn, we get to gain security attack +1 and unsuspend by trashing 3 sources. This is the main boss card and engine that facilitates our win condition. If it ever would be deleted, we don't have to worry. As long as we have sources for fragment, we can keep it on the board. And the nice thing is that we always get to recycle sources back from the trash at the end of the turn to keep the stack alive and as strong as possible. But now we have the all new level 7 to bridge it even further, which I'm running 3 copies of Magneticdramon. There's 2 ways to get into this card, whether you can digivolve for 4 on top of Pyramidimon, or you can warp on top of a Programmon for 6 costs as long as you have a close on your side of the board. Itself also has fragment, so it has deletion protection, but the main thing is that it has 2 when digivolving and when attacking effects. The first one is to trash 3 sources to trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. And the second effect is to recycle 3 sources back underneath to unsuspend this Digimon, which this effect is once per turn. As you digivolve and attack with this card by sequencing the effects in different orders, that is how you can execute your game-winning plays. That's it for all of the Digimon. Now let's talk about Tamers, which is all going to be close. I still think the EX8 Memory Setter close is still the most important of this deck, just because you get to recycle 2 sources immediately from your trash whenever you digivolve up the line. You can always sequence together with your when digivolving effects first, and then use her effect to recoup those sources back underneath, and that is how I mainly like to recycle my Tumblemons over and over. Next, I'm also running 3 copies of the new EX10 close, which allows us to play out a close at the starter main, and if we don't have a Digimon, we can play a Tsunorizomon out for free. Her secondary effect allows us to gain a memory whenever we trash sources, which is almost another secondary Tumblemon for the deck. You guys might be wondering, why am I not playing the promo close at all? And that's simply because the EX10 gives you so much value, as you can combo off together with some of your starter main phase effects alongside with the EX8 close, which is so much better, and I'll show you guys how it all works in the combo segment later on. That's it for all of our Tamers, and now as we move on to the options, let's start off with the new one from EX10, which I'm running 2 copies of the unique emblem, Gravel Hearts. With its main effect, you get to play out a Tsunorizomon or close from your hand or trash for free, and then you place it in the battle area. Just like all the other Liberator option cards, whenever your Tamer suspends, which is going to be closed, you get to use its delay effect to digivolve up your line with another reduced cost of 3, so that you easily can climb into a Pyramidimon or even Magneticdramon for only 1 cost. Or if you ever decide to climb your Magneticdramon on top of your Programmon, you're only going to have to pay 3 memory instead. We all know that this card is incredible at accelerating your stack up as you go for explosive turn plays. Since the deck is already really good when it comes to covering itself from being deleted, other than that, its main weakness is being bottom decked or returned to hand. Therefore, I still decide to take in 1 copy of Pyramidimon's signature move, Zofur Caboose. Simply by trashing one of our sources, we get to gain collision, piercing, reboot, extra 3000 DP, and also most importantly, not being able to be returned to the hand or deck by any of our opponent's effects that last until the end of their turn. Security effect is nice at times because it can be a bomb, as it deletes one of our opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost. And then to round off for the rest of the black option staple cards, I'm running 4 copies of Defense Training, 3 copies of Black Memory Boost to ensure that I can find my pieces as efficiently as possible, and also the 1 copy of Black Scramble. Tech choices and other cards that you guys can also include. First and foremost, there is the new EX10 Tumblemon, which is really good if you're ever going for a defensive strategy, if you want to stop your opponent's attacks. Like I mentioned, my deck is solely focused on the offensive, attacking as much as possible to go for the OTK and finish games off quickly, which is why I never want to see this egg in my personal build. But if you ever build a deck with a bit more control or defensive playstyle, this is definitely an egg that you want to consider including as well. Gathering pieces in this deck is really important, therefore you can also include the Gotsumon from EX8, which has an on deletion effect to help you trash 1 and draw 2 cards to help you find more that you need. And the idea with this is to try to chip away with it in the early stages. That way it can also help you set up a Tumblemon in the trash ready to go as you push out your second stack. Speaking of gathering momentum and finding pieces, this is where you can also play Ukomon from BT16 as a 3rd rookie in the deck instead of playing other Tsunorizomons. If you're looking for additional damage, you can always include the old promo Tsunorizomon, which unconditionally will help you give security attack +1 to anything that's 13k or higher, thanks to all the new DP buff effects, especially when it comes to the new Programmon. You can easily reach those heights when you go into Pyramidimon and Magneticdramon, no problem. Speaking of going for a more defensive playstyle, you can always include the EX8 Gagumamon to help you redirect attacks with its inhert effect, or otherwise float out bodies with its on deletion effect. Otherwise, there's also the new EX10 Pyramidimon itself. When you digivolve into it, you can instantly recycle some sources from the trash back underneath it. It only costs 3 to digivolve, which is a little cheaper than the older one from EX8, and it's also pretty good at controlling the board and helping you remove your opponent's Digimon a little bit easier because you get to reduce the play cost of your opponent's Digimon, meaning it can help you get rid of your opponent's big stack Digimon a little bit easier, as you don't have to necessarily de-digivolve them so many times all the way back down to a level 3. Another fun card you can also tech in would actually be the Bagua Army Blastmon from the exact same set of EX10. That is because it also has Mineral Trait itself, so it can synergize together with this deck pretty well. It has Fragment, Collision, Blocker, and whenever a Digimon attacks, you get to trash 2 sources so that you can gain additional security attack +1 and extra 3000 DP that lasts until the end of your turn specifically. Furthermore, you can also taunt your opponent's Digimon, which is pretty neat at removing them as well. I did talk about not including the promo close earlier, and the whole reason why is that it helps you gain a memory at the starter main, but why do you necessarily need to do that when the EX10 one helps you gain a memory anyways, unconditionally, without necessarily needing your opponent to have a Digimon on the side of the board? Other than that, her secondary effect is still pretty neat, which allows you to recycle a source immediately whenever something's trashed. If you ever want to go overkill and take the damage to even higher levels, you can also play Final Zubagon Punch, which is similar to Zofukabu's, which gives you extra 3000 DP, reboot, blocker, and security attack +1 as well, instead of necessarily trashing 3 sources from your Pyramidimon with its own effect. That way, you can potentially save some of your sources if you ever need to go for Fragment. Combos and how to play the all-new updated Pyramidimon Rock, Mineral, and Close deck with Tsunarizumon alongside with the all-new Magneticdramon. Let's begin talking about your mulligan hand. You want to see your rookies Digivolve the BT21 Tsunariza in the back, play out the EX8 in the front to go for searching, grab cards alongside with defense training and black memory boost to search for your Tamers as well as your stack building pieces, to then also set up unique emblem gravel hearts whenever you can so that you can actually play out your Tsunarizumon or closes for free, and most importantly is establish that Tamer, go into the all new Programomon and then go into Pyramidi, do a bunch of checks, security attack +1, and then Magneticdramon to continue it and finish the game off, OTKing your opponents like crazy. For the first combo, I'm going to show you guys how you can climb all the way up from a Tsunarizumon all the way to a Pyramidimon, ending the turn with only 1 defense training and 1 memory is all you need. Push out Tsunarizumon, and then using its cost reduction to evo into Landramon for 1 cost. Since we have 1 of your Tamers, we get to play out the close. Next, use defense training to Digivolve into Programomon for 1 cost. Using its when Digivolving effect, we're going to trash this Tumblemon to give it extra 3000 DP, collision, and piercing that's going to last until the end of the opponent's turn. Tumblemon effect is going to come in because it gets to gain a memory, and then we can go ahead and swing with Programomon here into opponent's security or Digimon, forcing a collision and piercing check, trashing another source, which is not once per turn, to give it another layer of 3000 DP, which makes it 13k, which is a very safe swing and also can take down most Digimon on the board. In order to finish that, we're now going to Digivolve into Pyramidimon for 4 cost, using Close's effect first to tuck the 2 sources back underneath, and then we get to use Pyramidimon if we want to unsuspend it, which we do. We'll trash the 3 sources to unsuspend and gain security attack +1, although it's not going to matter because we're going to be passing turn. Tumblemon when trashed going to gain a memory, and now that we're going to end the turn, we're going to retuck the 3 sources off of the Pyramidimon's end of turn effect, and right here we have an 18k Pyramidimon ready to go in the following if the opponent can't deal with it. If they ever try to delete it by effects or by battle even, we have Fragment to protect it as well. For this combo, I'm going to show you a neat trick that you can pull off with the promo Landramon alongside with the EX10 close. And just like before, you just need a defense training alongside with a memory boost to give your opponent as little resources as you pass the turn. And then we're going to try to climb up into Magneticdramon in the same turn as well. Push out the Landramon, and both starter main effects are going to trigger at the same time, and you get to choose which one to use first. We're going to use the Landramon effect to trash away the Tumblemon, to search and grab anything that we need, or tuck a source underneath. And then now the Tumblemon and the close will be the new trigger coming in, so that you have to finish activating them first, so that we get to suspend the close to gain a memory since we trashed the source, and then the Tumblemon is going to gain us a memory back. Now looping back to the other starter main that triggered before, to finish activating it, we're going to bomb this close to play out the memory cider one out here. Next, we're going to use defense training to Digivolve into Programomon just like before for 1 cost, using the when Digivolving effect to trash a source, whether we want to de-Digivolve the opponent's Digimon or pop something 4 cost or less. Always make sure you analyze the board state depending on what you want to remove, gaining a 3000 DP and collision and piercing just like before once again. And now we can finish off by suspending the close to retuck the 2 sources back underneath. Next, we're going to attack with Programomon, and just like before, trash the source with Tumblemon, gain a memory, and gain another 3000 DP, which is once again 13k 1-check, collision, and piercing. Since we have a close, we can Digivolve for 3 into Magneticdramon right here. And then with its effect, we can choose its first when Digivolving effect or second, and sequencing however we like. So we're going to use the first one to trash 3 sources underneath it in order to trash the opponent's top security and delete one of the opponent's Digimon, and then use the second when Digivolving to retuck any sources that we want, such as gaining memory and so on, to unsuspend. And as we pass the turn, Magneticdramon is going to be at least 20k that lasts until the end of the opponent's turn, which is not easy for the opponent to run over with anybody. Otherwise, if they ever try to, or if they have any deletion effects, we still got 3 sources to fragment and also disrupt their turn once again. And now I'm going to show you guys the crazy OTK combo that you can pull off in one single turn with this current setup with both closes and the unique emblem Gravel Hearts. We're going to push out the Tsunarizamon, and then we want to have a Landramon and Tumblemon in trash ready to go for additional memory, and also utilizing our Programmon hand main effect to warp by tucking in the Landra from the trash underneath the sources. And now we can Digivolve alongside with the cost reduction for only 2 memory into the Programmon here. Using its when Digivolving effect like always, let's trash away the Tumblemon to give it the extra 3000 DP buff, collision, and piercing. Tumblemon is going to gain a memory for trashing, suspend this close right here to gain another memory, and then suspend this close here to tuck the 2 Tumblemons back underneath, so you're going to be gaining a lot of memory at that point. Now we can use the delay of unique emblem Gravel Hearts to Digivolve into Pyramidimon for 1 cost. We're not going to use this when Digivolving effect just yet because we're going to use it while we attack, so then we can swing into the opponent's security, using the when attacking to trash another 3 sources. Again, as always, depending what the board state is, you want to de-Digivolve your opponent's Digimon, pop something that's 4 costs or less, otherwise prioritize going for your Tumblemons. So you trash 3, you're going to gain 2, unsuspend, and security attack +1, which is going to be 15k, 2 checks. Since you're now at 4 memory and your opponent's down to 3 security, we're then going to evo into Magneticdramon for 3 costs, using its first when Digivolving effect here to trash away 3 sources, to delete one of the opponent's Digimon, and then trash one of their security, so there should be only 2 left. And then what we're going to do here is attack into the opponent's security, using the second when Digivolving effect, which is also when attacking, to retuck 3 sources underneath here, which allows us to unsuspend. And then its first when Digivolving effect is also when attacking as well, which is not once per turn. We're going to trash the other 3 sources, and then gaining 2 memory off Tumble to further trash another security off the opponent's top and delete another Digimon so that they only have 1 left. And then this is going to go into their final security with 17k and security attack +1, which is overkill, but then they should be at 0 security at this moment. And then all you have to do is to use Magneticdramon to finish it off. Onyx Burst collection, which is one of my all-time favorites, is now live on the AVAULT store, and the first 50 collection orders will get a free exclusive Onyx Burst memory marker during this time only. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video, and this is AVAULT signing out.